My name is Brian Masters.
I think the problem stems from this archaic view that a mother is always a caretaker and a father is always a breadwinner. And I think that the 70s women's lib movement has had a lasting impact on this, because I think that, this was the system that we currently have was designed to address, two parents that marry early, have children, the woman takes care of the kids, helps the man build the business, and then once he acquires success and wealth, he leaves, abandons the woman and children. And that's simply just not the standard these days. That's not the most common situation. Certainly not in Baltimore City, but even across other parts of Maryland. Hi, I'm Jill Carter, and I represent District 41 in the Maryland House of Delegates. This past session, I sponsored House Bill 956. That was a bill that called for a rebuttable presumption of joint custody and a preference for equal parenting time. Well, first of all, let me just also make it clear, we're talking about 500,000 children in Maryland that live in houses where they don't have a family unit with a mother, father living in the house with them, where there is going to be some type of determination of custody. And within the realm of the 500,000 children that are impacted by this, 85% of custody determinations in Maryland award primary or sole custody to the mother, and relegating the father, of course, to being a non-custodial parent. And more often than not, the distribution of visitation is 2 weekends a month, maybe once during the week, and a couple of weekends in the summertime and some time on holidays. The rebuttable presumption of joint custody simply would allow for a court to view each parent equally when the parent walks into the courtroom. And then, of course, we're not talking about a fit parent versus an unfit parent. We're not talking about someone who doesn't want to be involved in his or her child's life. We're talking about people equally situated, equally suitable, equally competent, equally interested in being parents. And so what this bill would have done is just create a rebuttable presumption. Right now in Maryland, we have a standard best interest of the child. And of course the opponents of this legislation argue, well, the standard of best interest of the child is effective. That's the best standard we can have. Of course, that might be true if we were just talking the black letter of the law, but what we know is that the law as applied doesn't work. It results in unfair and unequal distribution of custody. Now let me just explain what happened. I was relatively new. This was 2004. I'd only been there since 2003. And for the first time ever, a bill that called a very similar bill, rebuttable presumption of joint custody, passed by committee, the House Judiciary Committee, and made it to the House floor. And we don't even get to debate it on the floor. We don't even get to vote for it on the floor. The Women's Caucus pulls the women off of the floor. They do a House walk-off. They will not even debate the issue. I was stunned and amazed. And I'm also told that it's the first time in the history of any of the legislature that a bill has, caused that reaction. It's very troubling, because if you believe in your argument and if you know that you're right, you don't run from debate. It's really dishonest and it's hypocritical for the opponents of this legislation, who tend to be women's lobbyists and domestic violence advocates, to contend that this is not in the best interest of the children, because the systems we have now simply is the father writes a check, the check goes to the mother. There's really no accountability, and of course I'm not making an argument that mothers aren't responsible and they aren't taking care of the children, certainly not. But the bottom line is that what this would do is give the child equal access to both parents, so the father's more than the paycheck. And some of the problems that we have where, there's reluctant fathers, or fathers that are, resentful that they have to pay child support, that would be alleviated, because if they had more time with their children, if they were treated more fairly by the courts, they'd willingly pay what they need to pay. And also, I think the idea that if there were equal distribution of custody, the father The father doesn't have to write a check because the father is giving equal care. This is an issue of fairness. It's an issue of civil rights for children. It's an issue of equal protection under the law. And it's an issue of justice. It's all of that. It's a common sense fairness issue. And I can't stress enough the hypocrisy of saying it's in the best interest of a child to have one custodial parent and another visitor that writes a check, not even to the child, but to the custodial parent. That's better than equal time with both parents or each parent. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, so this is what you need to do. My name is
Dr. Linda Nielsen from Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm a professor of adolescent and educational psychology and also the author of Between Fathers and Daughters, How to Enrich and Build a Better Relationship with Your Father. I would like to see, after the parents stop living together, whether that's divorce or just a couple that splits up, I would like to see the young women in our country, the daughters in our country, have their fathers actively in their lives, not just through childhood, but until the father is no longer on this earth. I feel as a country we are a long way from what I would like to see happen. Why? First, we don't take fathers seriously in this country. We really do not take men seriously as parents. We take men seriously as banking machines. We take you seriously as wallets. We take you seriously when we say, show me how much you love me, by giving me, by buying me. We make you feel very loved when you can come up with the cold hard cash. But beyond your financial giving, I think basically as a country, we still see men as bankers and not as fathers. Well, you know, the thing is, when I'm teaching students, not only the damage, what I've seen for the last 40 years is I see the aftermath of what the parents have done. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a 20-year-old daughter who tells me, oh, I get along fine. I don't need my dad. I don't need my dad. He's a jerk. He's an idiot. He's this. He's that. I don't need my dad. I never even think about him. I don't think about it. And I say, well, tell me something. How's your relationship with your boyfriend? How's your relationship with, or how's the last relationship? How'd that go? Well, what does that have to do with this? Because it has everything to do with it. Because I'll tell you right now, your father is still in your life through the way you relate to men. And that is what most young women are doing. You think you've put your father down 10 miles ago. No, you aren't. You are still carrying him because he is a part of your life. And what I say to young women is, you need to start seeing your father through your eyes and not through your mother's eyes.
Mother. Because the mother always know how to take care of her child.
The mother. Because she's the one that's gonna, the father is meant to work in my idea. Like, in my world, a father is meant to work. So, who's gonna watch the child?
I think they should live with their mother just because she birthed them, like she said, she birthed them, and I think they'll be closer and they'll learn a lot more from the mother than they will from the father.
The mother? Because the mother is the foundation. The mother sets the tone.
I would say their mother, just because she birthed them, held them for 9 months, and mothers are just, more caring, more nurturing. Not that fathers aren't, but I would just say the mother, the father, men don't have time. I would just say the mother. I might not even have a good reason, but just the mother.
I don't think the child should just live with one parent.
They should probably go back and forth and get equal amount of time with both parents, because it's not good to shut out one parent from the child's life.
Whoever is the most financially stable and shows himself approved, then I feel like whether mother or father doesn't really matter.
Whoever's capable to provide for them more, they should live with their mother because their mother birthed them.
The mother. Because I feel like mothers are more patient and more supportive of their children, and fathers are just there for like protection and restraint, but the emotional part children need as they grow up. The mother. Because a mother can take care of children better than men. I believe the children can go with the men, the father on weekends or something, but they have to live with the mother.
I think the child should live with the mother. I feel like the mother is more nurturing. The mother can play both roles, in my opinion, the mother and the father. That's just how I feel. I mean, that's how I've experienced it. I've been raised by my mother, and she did both, and I'm perfectly fine. I'm fine without my father. So.
I receive hundreds of emails. 90% of those emails are not from daughters. 90% of those emails are from fathers. My aha moment was the person who's in pain here. We recognize the daughter's pain. Okay, everybody thinks, oh, these poor children whose fathers aren't in their lives. My aha moment is realizing we're not recognizing the father's pain. We're only thinking of this in terms of father absence, how it affects the child. What are we doing to millions of men in this country? Millions of men. Old men, young men, black men, white men, pink men, purple men, educated men, uneducated men. We're taking their children away from them. One of those moments actually happened right here in my office. I was getting ready to go and teach my class. I teach a class on children of divorce, and I teach a class on fathers and daughters. I was getting ready to go to class, and I came in to pick up something from the office, and the custodian was here in my office changing the light overhead. I walked in, I'm getting ready to walk out, and he said, I saw your book, because I leave my book on the table here about fathers and daughters. He said, would you mind if I asked you a question? He says, because my daughter has not talked to me for 4 years, and I wondered if you had any advice for me. That's a man changing a light bulb in my office who takes the time to look on a desk and see a book, and he's reaching out for some help. Those are the overlooked millions. Those are the fathers who are changing a light bulb and desperately seeking some light to help them through the pain of all these lost children. It's everywhere. And the stories are everywhere. And it breaks my heart because I can't change the basic, what I see as the basic problem, which is letting men be the parents they can be. Not just letting and encouraging, but leave them alone. Quit instructing these men in how to be fathers. Quit telling them how to baby the baby and take care. Leave them alone.